I've watched a bunch of aeroponic videos on YouTube, thanks to all those guys that made them, and I decided to build my own. That's a little bit different than anything I've seen on YouTube, and I thought maybe now would be a good time to share it with you. What you see on the table are 7 nozzles that are all being controlled by that big chunk of wires over there and a Raspberry Pi with a bunch of relays mounted on top. And the 12-volt battery there is powering all of the valves and the nozzles. It's a pretty easy process to switch over the Raspberry Pi, which runs on 5 volts. I can get a converter, a buck converter, to run the Raspberry Pi off the 12 volts. And with that, I'll solve the one big problem with aeroponics, which is what happens if the power goes off. In this case, if the power goes off, the nozzles just keep running and the valves continue to operate because everything's running off of 12 volts, or it will be shortly. The other big problem with aeroponics is what happens if your air compressor or your accumulator pump fails. And we've got another solution for that, which is that we're using city water pressure to push the nutrients to our nozzles instead of an accumulator pump. So our city water pressure here is 70 psi, and that 70 psi is being generated for free from our city water source. So how do you get the water, which is going through to the nozzles, infused with nutrients? And the way that I do that is I've got a submersible pump in the tank there and a valve. And so the feeding cycle, or I'll call it the loading cycle, works by the valve opens right here and the pump turns on and nutrients flow up through this pipe and across here and then into this horizontal 3/4 inch PVC pipe over into this area right here. This valve that you see right here is also open, and that has a return line that comes back into the bucket. So by running the pump and having the valves open for about 5 seconds and then closing them, I'm able to load this horizontal 3/4 inch pipe with nutrient solution out of the bucket. Then with the valves closed, I open the valve from the city water supply, which then applies 70 psi of pressure behind the nutrient solution and slowly starts pushing it. As the mister nozzles fire, they're using about 1/2 milliliter each time they fire, and it's slowly pushing the nutrients through the pipe and over to this red tube which feeds the misters. When we get close to this area here, by calculating the volume of the pipe and how much is going through the misters, we then do another feeding cycle. So what happens is the water that's in this pipe now is pushed by the pump. So the pump is pushing new nutrients out through here, and it pushes the water through our valve and back through here and into our bucket. The result being that the quantity of nutrients in the bucket stays the same. It's just been diluted a little bit by the water that we've added to it. So one of my next steps will be to figure out how much it's getting diluted and how much my pH is changing, and we'll automate the dosing of food into the bucket and the pH adjustments so that it becomes a fully hands-off system. So anyway, that's where I'm at with it so far. I thought you might like to see it. I hope you like it. Oh, I'll do one more thing first, which is just show you the mist. So it's going around a little hard to see in the light, but you can hear them. That one just fired over there. And we'll just wait for it to come back around to this one over here. You can hear the clicking. I actually have it set up for 11 mister nozzles, but I only have 7 connected. So it's about to start again in just a second here. And I think this one will go next. There you go. So we're doing that every 33 seconds right now. I need to play with it to optimize exactly how much mist I want to apply and how often, but that'll be part of a future step as well. What's going to happen is I'll put this is an upside down bucket. It's a drain to waste system. The waste is going into this bucket over here, and my plant height will be in this upside down bucket, and I'll show you that in a future video. Anyway, that's all for now. Thanks.